Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a real life case study that I think a lot of young professionals will relate to. We met with Ella, a 24-year-old speech language pathologist who just started her first full-time job at a pediatric clinic. She came to us because she wanted help setting up a Roth IRA. But as we often do, we took a step back to look at her whole financial picture. If you're in your early 20s and just getting started with financial planning, this story will give you an example of how to build a strong foundation. Let's start with Ella's situation. She earns $73,350 a year and takes home about $2,200 per paycheck. She's renting an apartment with a roommate in Cincinnati. Her half of the rent is about $880 a month, and she doesn't have plans to buy a home anytime soon. Now here's the impressive part. Ella has zero debt. No student loans, no credit cards, nothing. Her parents helped her through college, and that's put her in a really strong position financially. Right now, her main goal is to learn how to open a Roth IRA and invest in that Roth IRA. But she's also curious about how to make the most of her savings and start building long-term wealth. When we looked at her accounts, Ella had about $10,000 sitting in a traditional savings account, earning next to nothing. So the first recommendation was simple: move part of that money into a high-yield savings account. These accounts are easy to open online, transfer money to and from, and can pay over 10 times the interest of a regular bank. We suggested she move about $5,000 into the new high-yield savings account to get started and continue adding from there. That way, she still keeps her emergency fund in cash, but earns more on it while she builds other parts of her plan. Next, we talked about her 401k through her new employer. After 1 year, she'll become eligible for a 4% company match, but we told her not to wait. She can start contributing now, even though the match hasn't kicked in yet. We recommended she contribute 6% of her salary, splitting it 3% to Roth and 3% to pre-tax. That mix gives both tax-free growth in the Roth and immediate tax benefits from the pre-tax contributions. We also reminded her that she doesn't need to max out her 401k right now. At this stage in life, it's more important to balance retirement savings with short-term goals. Things like building up her emergency fund, saving for future milestones like marriage or buying a home, and maybe even a new car next year. Ella didn't have any investment accounts outside of her 401k, so we walked through the basics: how the market works, what index funds are, and how diversification helps reduce risk over time. Then we circled back to her main question: how to set up a Roth IRA. We recommended she open one at a well-known custodian, which has low-cost, high-quality investment options. We provided a specific allocation for her, dividing her funds between a stock market index fund and an international index fund. That combination gives her exposure to thousands of companies both in the US and abroad, which is a great long-term setup for someone her age. We suggested she start contributing about $500 a month, and if she has extra cash later in the year, she could top it off to reach the annual Roth IRA limit. To give Ella a clear roadmap, we walked her through what we call the hierarchy of cash flow, basically the order of financial priorities to focus on. Here's what we shared with her. First, she should get her employer match. Once she's eligible, she should not leave that free money on the table. She has no debt, so that level is done for her. She has already built emergency reserves to a sufficient level for her lifestyle, so she should maintain those reserves and move a portion into a high-yield savings account. Next, Ella should open and max out her Roth IRA to take advantage of potentially tax-free growth. After she opens a Roth IRA, she should consider a brokerage account, which we call a slush fund. The slush fund is for overflow savings that can be invested for medium-term goals. She should take a more balanced approach when investing in the slush fund so that it still grows beyond a savings account but isn't as volatile as her retirement investments. She'll eventually max out her 401k, but that isn't necessary right now. She should focus on contributing to her 401k and splitting her contributions 50% Roth, 50% pre-tax for tax diversification. She has the option to use a target date fund or to select other mutual funds. We advised against the target date fund at this time. Why not the target date fund? Because at her age, the target date fund already includes about 10% bonds, which aren't necessary for someone with a 40-year time horizon until retirement. Keeping it all in stocks allows her to capture growth potentially early on, and she can later adjust as she gets closer to retirement. So what can we learn from Ella's case? Start early. Even small contributions in your 20s have decades to grow. Keep it simple. You don't need a complex portfolio. Broad index funds work beautifully. Balance today and tomorrow. Don't put every dollar into retirement. Save for flexibility too. Know your hierarchy. Build your emergency fund, grab the employer match, then invest for growth. Ella's off to an amazing start with no debt, strong savings habits, and a solid investment plan. She's proof that financial success in your 20s isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. If you're just starting out, take a page from Ella's story and begin where you are. The earlier you start planning, the more freedom you'll have later. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more case studies like this, and share it with a friend who's just starting their financial journey. See you next time.